Hey, hello, welcome back. Till now, we was talking regarding manual way of creating and uploading the build, but that's a manual way. And when there is a manual way, a human mistake can happen. And also, in that scenario, creating and building and also uploading that build to testing devices or testers is dependent on a single person, and if he is unavailable, then on an emergency situation the team is in a very bad situation, in a bad condition. So we don't want to be on that part. And also, even in a single person team, like always having that manual way of uploading and creating builds is kind of like very time consuming thing. We can start use some kind of CI/CD stuff or platform which will make that automation. We need not to go with the manual way of creating and building and like distributing the IPA to the testers. So during the year 2021-22, Apple actually rolled out Xcode Cloud, which is a CI/CD platform focused on Apple development. So this is still in the early phase. There is some issues, but Apple is resolving them very quickly. I am using Xcode Cloud for the last 2 years, and I'm very happy with it, especially the platform. And also, I can test it on the beta releases of macOS and iOS. Also, there is the cost is very low regarding the other CI/CD platforms, and eventually it is kind of like blended with your workflow, which is the best. So everything I know is already there, and I don't need to learn anything new to start with Xcode Cloud. So once we have our source code, we can actually push that source code to our remote repository. For me, it is now GitHub. It could be GitLab or anything else. So once I have pushed that code on my GitHub repo on a branch update or even on a pull request, I can create a workflow which will notify Xcode Cloud to fetch the latest code from the GitHub and then build that code to create an IPA and probably test that IPA and then to distribute that IPA to the testing devices. And all these things will be done in an automatic way. I will just push my code on the GitHub repo and that's it. And probably if it is required, then I will create a pull request. But other than that, it is pretty much automated. So it's an awesome thing. A lot of time and effort and energy is saved if we use CI/CD. So yeah, that's the overview. So on the last episode, we saw that a diagram explaining how actually Xcode Cloud or CI/CD stuff in general works. So on this episode, we will work directly on the code base and the setup so that I can actually use the Xcode Cloud. So here is the diagram. On a very first look, it looks a lot of things, a lot of components out there. Yeah, it is there, but most of them is kind of like very first time setup. And once we have the setup done, it's pretty much easy thing. We're gonna just push the code or merge the pull request and it will be doing the things automatically. But the first time setup is kind of like a bit overwhelming. Though Apple actually makes it very easy introducing the Xcode Cloud. So hopefully it will be fine. Let us start. So the very first part is to going with the developer account and registering an Apple ID or App ID. Alternatively, we can say it bundle ID. So here we are. We have the App ID or bundle ID, which is the sample demo app, and com.moviedevtalk.sample demo app. So this is the very first thing we need to go with the registering an app ID on the developer account. The next step is to registering an app on the App Store Connect. So here is our App Store Connect, and on there we have the app demo sample application, and we're gonna register an app. So we already have that done. So I'm not going through the again registering an app. So as just to say that we have the same bundle ID. In my case, the app registration is also in done stage on the App Store Connect. What's next? The next step is to go with the TestFlight, and then we have to fill some information on the TestFlight Here is the TestFlight, and we are again in the App Store Connect. So we are in this block, App Store Connect TestFlight. So now we need to fill the beta app information. So on the TestFlight, and we need to have the test information, I guess. Yeah, here it is. And then we need to fill some information. So beta app description, I am just filling some text here. You can write what is required for you. Okay, and then I need a feedback email. Okay, what's next? The contact information. So right now I need to fill the contact information, so let me fill it. So when we are actually filling the phone number, we have to make sure that we're actually adding the country code and also the plus sign, otherwise it will not process, or like it will have some issues. Okay, so we fill the beta app information, feedback email URL, feedback email, and also the contact information, and we put the plus and country code here. So it should be done on this state. Okay, it's safe. What's next? The next step is to add the app ID on the Xcode. So let us move on our Xcode, and we already have the app ID or bundle identifier added on our project, as it was already been uploaded. We have a build or version which was manually uploaded to the TestFlight. So we already have everything set up. Now we are actually migrating that manual way to an automatic way, CI/CD stuff. So yeah, so we already have the app, we already have the bundle identifier. So if you don't have it, you just need to add it. So that's why the flowchart is here, to give us a full pictures idea what is going on, what to be done. Okay, so we have our bundle identifier added here. Now we need to add the app category. So let us move to app category. So let us choose app category. For me it is now just education purpose. Choose whatever suits your case. Okay, what's next? And then we need to add the app icon. Okay, so I think we already have the app icon there. If you don't have, then you need to add the app icon here, otherwise you will not be able to distribute the app. Okay, now we need to update the build version. We already have one build, which is build 1, I guess, if I'm not wrong. Here it is the build version 1.0. So if we again upload something which is one version build num, then it will not be processed. So we need to have a different build number. So let us update it. Okay, what's next? Then actually this is pretty much done on this here, on this part. Now we actually need to move to GitHub and create a repo. Okay, so now we're actually creating a GitHub repo. So I'm just filling the information. They are like dummy text. Fill what is necessary for you. So yeah, let us create a repository. So now I have created my repository. Now I need to set up some stuff. The very first thing is that I want to make sure my main is very protected. So I'm gonna set some rules, some branch rules. Okay, so let us choose a new branch rule set. So I am actually choosing the active state for the enforcement status, and I'm just putting a name of main branch. I don't want anyone to bypass it. So now I'm gonna add a target branch. I'm gonna just include default branch, and if we want to see, in our case main is the default branch, so we can go there and we can see here is the main and it is the default branch. Okay, so now we have added the default target branch rule set. So let us create the rule set. Okay, now the rule set is created. So I should be able to push on main. I need to make a pull request to update the main branch. So the main branch is kind of like now protected. Now once we have created our Git remote repository, we need to add the remote on our project. So let us do that. We can verify the remote addition. Okay, so it's done. Let us first move this main branch of our local to a new branch so that we can actually pull the latest changes of the main branch from the remote. Okay, we are adding the project file and then we are actually committing the changes. We are moving back to main. We are pulling the latest changes from the main. So pulling the latest changes from the main. So now we are actually merging the main into Xcode Cloud integration branch. Now our Xcode Cloud integration branch has the latest changes from the main. So now we can actually update our main with the Xcode Cloud integration after a pull request. Okay, so we have added a repo on the GitHub and also add that repo on our remote on the Xcode or in our source code. So we can verify it by a git push, and this is optional. If you want, you can try it, but I'm pretty confident that it is working, so I'm not gonna do that git push right now. So right now the next step is to add a workflow from the Xcode, and this workflow is for Xcode Cloud. So we will create an Xcode Cloud's workflow from the Xcode. Okay, so we are now in this step. So let us start. We first need to go to Xcode, and then from there we need to go to the last element of it and then Xcode Cloud. So now there is no Xcode Cloud integrated, and also I'm been signed out, so I'm gonna sign in and continue with the Xcode Cloud flow. So now as I am logged in my Apple developer account from Xcode, now I can actually initiate the Xcode Cloud workflow. As you can see, I have already added a destination for iOS and macOS and Vision OS. So I will have different targets when I am actually start to create the workflow. So here it is. Now one for iOS and another one for macOS and Vision OS. So I'm not gonna go with this one. I will be starting the workflow for the iOS only target. Okay, let me go to the next screen. And now I have a workflow. I want to edit it. This workflow is to just test and build, right? And then we're gonna go with the distribution thing. So the name of this workflow will be, and the description will be. So I have added the name and the description. My primary repository already been selected from my remote, and then the project or workspace is also been selected automatically. I will be using the latest release for my environment, both for Xcode and macOS. Now for the start condition, I want to use pull request changes, not the branch changes. Currently, for any file changes, this build will trigger, and the source branch can be any, but the destination or target branch is main. I'm also selecting the auto cancellation build, which means that whenever there is a advanced build, the previous build will be cancelled if it is not been completed yet. For the actions, I will be choosing the build and test. So my platform will be iOS only. The schema is the demo app schema, and it will be built for any devices. I will also add an action of test. Now I need my test to pass, and also I'm using the schema settings. So pretty much it. I'm not going to archive the iOS in this workflow. It will be a separated workflow, so I'm removing it. The chronology should be build first and then to test. So I am updating the chronology for build first and then to test. On the post section, I can actually notify. If I need to notify the build success or failure to a Slack channel or an email, I can add it. But for now, I don't need it. So I'm not gonna do anything on the post section. So my workflow is pretty much done for the build and test workflow. So I'm saving it, moving on the next screen. On the next screen, I need to grant an access to the GitHub repo. So let us do that. It will move us first to the App Store Connect. And from there, we will move to GitHub. I'm selecting the repo. And now I will be moved back to Xcode. And it seems it is been worked. So let us move to the next screen. So yeah, we have done it. We have added a workflow on Xcode Cloud. We grant access on the GitHub repo. So it is pretty much done. So let's make it complete. Now, if we want, we can start a build, but we're not gonna do it. We're gonna follow the regular process. So yeah, we will create a pull request and we will see that our build and test been running. Okay, so let's move forward. We're gonna close this screen. So we have just completed the add a workflow from Xcode and then grant the repo access from GitHub, right? So this thing is done. Now we're gonna verify the workflow from Xcode Cloud of the App Store Connect. Okay, so let us move to the Xcode Cloud. So we have just created our workflow, and on that workflow, for any source branch, if it make a pull request to the main branch, this workflow will trigger. And on that workflow, there is actually two actions. One is build and one for test. So currently we can build the app, but we don't have any test target on our project. So let us create one iOS app test target. So we're gonna select the iOS and it should be unit test bundle. Name should be sample demo app test. Okay, we can move forward. We can remove the junk and verify if our test step is working. Okay, there is a version mismatch, so let me fix it. For the app, on the iOS it is 18.2, but on the test it is 18.4. So we're gonna just match it. Okay, so now we are actually ready. So let us fail the test first and then we're gonna make it pass. Okay, so successfully we was able to fail our test. So now let us make it pass. Okay, That's a green state, so we can now commit. Okay, so now I can actually push these changes to the branch and push it on the remote repository and have a pull request to simulate the workflow. This is just a simulation. It is not the exact way we're gonna write production code. There will be definitely tests, but this is not that simple test. On some future episode, we might go with the test-driven development, but for now, it is just a placeholder and a check mark that this is done on this way. Okay, so let us commit. Adding test. Now we will be pushing the changes on the remote branch. And now from the GitHub, we will make a pull request. Creating the pull request. So once we make the pull request, our Xcode Cloud workflow kicks in and we can see it is now actually building and start testing the code. So we can see it also from the App Store Connect. From the build, we can see that it is actually running. Okay, now our pull request been approved. We can actually merge it. So on our build and test workflow, we was just building and testing the app, but was not doing any kind of distribution. So let us create a new workflow where we can actually distribute the IPA to our testers. But to do that, we need to have a branch which is specific to release. So we will create a new release branch, and any changes on that release branch will trigger a distribution of the IPA. So let us create our new branch first. Let us make it a protected branch also. Creating a new rule set for the release branch. Okay, we are actually creating the new rule set for the release branch. Now, once we have our rule set ready for the release branch, we can use this release branch to make a new workflow for distributing the IPA. This time we will be using beta version of Xcode and macOS, just to make sure that when this beta version of the software become available, our code is ready before that release of the beta version of Xcode and macOS. This is an option I would like to have on one of my workflow, but it is up to you if you want to have it or not. But for me, I think having that readiness before coming a better release is kind of a good way, because I know that my software will break in this next better release. So yeah, the workflow will start when any changes of the release branch occurs. Okay, it will auto cancel also. And now I am adding an action. So I want to archive the build and to distribute it then later time. So for now, I am actually choosing the App Store Connect. I am actually targeting the release branch just to make sure whenever those changes been pushed on the release branch, it will trigger an archive of macOS and distribute it to the App Store Connect user, saving the workflow. Now let us move to TestFlight. I am adding a new internal test group. I'm also enabling the automatic distribution. Now I'm adding a new tester on the core team internal group. Remember that whenever you are actually trying to add a tester on the internal group, you need to have that tester or person added on the App Store Connect, because it is an internal test group. But when it is an external test group, then you need not to have that internal role for the App Store Connect. So I am adding myself as a tester in the core team. Let us have an external testing group also. We are naming this group as the alpha tester. Now, to distribute the app, I can either email the distribution link or I can use a public link. It is up to you, whatever suits your needs. For now, I will be just using the public link to distribute the build. I will make it available for anyone who can actually have the link. Confirming. Okay, so our workflow is done. We have added our tester. So right now we can actually distribute the app. So let us update our text and to see it on the release version of the app. We are commenting and pushing the changes on the remote. Now we will be merging the main into the release branch to trigger our distribution. Usually it takes some time when we're actually using the branch update for the workflow. So let us wait for it. Okay, so our release branch is updated, and for that reason our distribution workflow actually run, and at the end of it we have a build. Now remember that we actually used to archive the macOS. So right now we will be distributing the macOS on the distribution channel. So from the TestFlight and on the macOS, now I need to fix the compliance issue. I am not using any kind of algorithm for the encryption, so the none of settings is good for me. So on the external tester, for the alpha testers, I can actually select this build for distribution. And as you can see, it is a macOS version, and it is this build we can actually release. I will not need any kind of sign in. So I am just populating some text for the tester. Now our build been added. So when we are actually distributing the app on the external testing group, we need to wait for an build review. So let us wait for it for some time. Okay, finally our build been approved. So we was going with the alpha testing group and it was an external testing group. So we need to have the build reviewed by Apple, and now it is actually approved. So now we can actually distribute the app through alpha channel. So yeah, it was for the first time it took a bit more time, like I would say like 10 hours, close to 10 hours, and then it was like reviewed. So yeah, it get changed sometimes it get faster, sometimes it get like this. So yeah, So now what we was planning that we will be sharing this IPA through a public link rather than adding email. The process is same. So finally we have a link which we can share with the tester, and if we open this link, he will have some kind of view like this where he can actually download the TestFlight, or he can just view it on the TestFlight if he's already have the installation of the TestFlight. So now we are actually opening the TestFlight for this app. Now we are having this one, we can say install. So this process will be pretty much same for every tester. Okay, installing the app. Okay, it's now done. So what we change? We change the text to OTA. So now we should have a global icon and an OTA text on that screen. So here we go. We are opening the app, and it is just how you can actually, information, minimal information, and how to like take a screenshot. Yep. So now our app is opened. So as we said, it will have a global icon and an OTA text. So global icon and OTA text. So that's actually finishing our Xcode Cloud episode. So it was a massive one. It took a lot of time to like go through all the details thing, but it is definitely worthy. Xcode Cloud is definitely worthy if you are an iOS developer and want to use the CI/CD platform. Xcode Cloud will beat everything else because of the cost, because of the simplicity, because of the integrated environment. So yeah, so we was here once we merged the pull request on a specific branch, which was release branch. We wait for the build, and if there was any compliance missing, we added those things, and then we actually add the tester on the test group. And once everything is processed, the tester can open the redeem code or the link on his mobile and open the, using the TestFlight, he can actually install the app. So this actually conclude our whole process. Our journey started from developer.apple.com account. We registered an app ID, and from the App Store Connect, we registered an app using that same app ID. Then on the TestFlight, we actually fill the beta app information, and then on the Xcode, we actually add the app ID and category, app icon, build version update, then adding a remote of GitHub, and then actually like pushing that source code on that remote. And in the meantime, we actually already added a workflow which actually triggered the distribution. So for me, I usually use two different type of workflow. The first one is to build and test. So it is usually happens with the main branch. So whenever I have a source branch, any feature branch as a source branch, when I make a pull request to the main, my build and test actually get runs. So I know that nothing is failing before merging it with the main, in the main. And another workflow usually is the distribution workflow, where I actually have a release branch. When it is get updated, this workflow is triggered and an IPA is distributed to the tester. So these two workflow works for me. It could be different for you. Definitely it will be different for you. So yeah, so try it. I'm pretty sure you will feel a lot comfortable and a lot easy to adapt Xcode Cloud. If you haven't, you are missing a lot of good opportunities here, because Xcode Cloud is something which is comes 25 hours, if I'm not wrong, free for the $100 account purchase or developer account. So why not? You have a free CI/CD stuff, right, for 25 hours. So why not to use it? And then there is different packages. If you like expire the free 20 or 25 hours, then you need to buy a subscription for more hours. There is some tricky things to do, right? If you have library, you can break down your source code based on library, and you can just run those library or project when you are actually using the Xcode Cloud. That way you can actually decrease the hours a lot. So that's a topic for another series probably. So yeah, stay tuned, it will be coming. Thank you for coming to this end. It was a great pleasure to have you, and I'm very happy to finish this series, because when I was starting my career, it was definitely not easy thing to go with all those manual way of creating certificates, provisioning profile, and updating them. Those were challenging thing. There was no resource available back that time, very limited resource. So I hope that this video series actually helps a lot of our starter who is actually starting the journey for iOS development, and I'm pretty sure it will help among us who is in the intermediate or like in the middle level of the career. So yeah, thank you, take care, see you in some next series. Till then, bye bye.